If the word eSIM makes you nervous, you're not alone. Many cruisers over 60 feel unsure about this technology, but it's not as hard as you think, and I can show you how, and it can possibly save you a lot of money. Stick around to the end because we tested out GigSky's cruise-only option, which is a Wi-Fi alternative that can be used while you're at sea. I'm Doug, Leah's behind the camera today, and we are Go Travel Life. So let me share a data point with you. We just returned from Japan. It was 3 weeks that we cruised around Japan, 14 different stops, and we both purchased a 10 gigabyte 30-day plan, and we used it every day while in port, and we did not exceed our data plan. So the plan was $18 each for the whole time we were in Japan. Now contrast that to Verizon's plan, which is $12 per day per person. The savings are big. Now, one thing you can't do with the eSIM is you cannot use cellular phone calls, but you can use Messenger, iMessage, and WhatsApp. They work just fine. If this suits you, keep watching. So, what is an eSIM? Well, it's digital. It's software that lets you connect your phone to the local network in the country that you're in. It's not that little piece of plastic that you needed the paper clip to stick into the side of your phone to remove. It's much easier than that, and it's very inexpensive. The first thing you need to do is find out if your phone is compatible. Now, I'm going to talk specifically about iPhones in this video. So if your phone was an iPhone XE, XR, 11, 12, and so on, you're good to go. If you're not sure what your iPhone is, you can go to Settings, General, About, and then look at the model, and that will tell you what model number you have. Next, you need to check to see if your phone is locked. To do this, you can go to Settings, then go to General, and then About, and then you can scroll down, and it will tell you under Carrier Lock. It should say No SIM Restrictions if it's not locked, or you can also just call your carrier and find out if your phone is locked. If it's not locked, again, you're good to go. So the next thing you know is who to use. We've used 3 different companies, but I think the one that we like the best is Airalo. You can download that app in the App Store, and then you can pick a plan. Basically, you just go to the region that you're going to. It can either be one specific country, or it can be a region. Like a couple years ago, we were in Northern Europe, and we just chose a regional eSIM for Europe. And next, you need to determine how much data you need. A good rule of thumb, if it's a port-intensive cruise, you're probably going to need about a half a gig per day. That's what we used when we were in Japan, and it worked out well. We did the same kind of math when we were in Australia, and that worked out well. We ended up overbuying a little bit, but we had plenty of data. We didn't have to worry about not having enough data. We typically buy our plans a day or 2 before we leave, and we install the eSIM and activate it while we have a good Wi-Fi signal, because it's very important. If the process gets interrupted, the eSIM is pretty much worthless. I'll show you how to activate the eSIM next. Once you've purchased your eSIM, you'll see it here in the app. So just click on View eSIM and then click on Details. And at this point, it's going to warn you that this process can't be interrupted. So this is why I always do it at home on a strong Wi-Fi connection. I never want to do this at an airport. Next, it will give you 3 different options for the install, and it gives you instructions. The 3 modes are direct, QR code, or manual. I always do direct, as it's the most efficient way to do it. At this point, it gives you a small video showing you exactly the steps you're going to take, so pay attention to these steps. But again, it's mostly just hitting the next button or continue. When this short tutorial is done, just click on the Install eSIM button, then click Allow, and the activation will start. Now, one key thing to remember during this process is it does take a while. The first couple times I did this, I thought for sure that something had gone wrong, and I almost restarted, but I'm glad I didn't because that would make the eSIM not valid. So just be patient at this point and wait, and it'll eventually say that it's been installed. I think it took 2 minutes the first time I did this. Once the activation is complete, just click Done and it'll take you to the cellular plan labels. Next, you will be asked to label your plans. Your primary plan is your plan that is from your carrier. And I'm going to name my secondary plan, which is the SIM that I just installed. I'm going to name it Japan eSIM Airalo, so I know exactly which one I'm turning off and turning on when it comes time to actually be in Japan and use the plan. Next, I'll hit continue. And then I'm going to leave my default line as my primary for now because we have not yet arrived in Japan and I still want to be able to make phone calls. But once we get to Japan, then I will make the Japan eSIM Airalo the primary default line. Same will go for this iMessage and FaceTime. I'm just going to leave it as is and hit continue. And it's important to not turn on this allow cellular data switching, as if you are in the next country, Japan, then you may be charged. It may actually grab the Verizon signal instead of the Airalo signal, and you'll be charged for that $12 a day. Next, to update the contacts, I'm just going to use the preferred line for both of these. And it'll tell us that the eSIM has been successfully installed. Okay, the next step is you've arrived at your destination via the airplane or via cruise ship. Either way, these are the steps you need to do before you turn your airplane mode off. Go to cellular, then settings, and you'll see your primary and Airalo lines. Turn off your primary line and then turn on your Airalo line. Your phone is now ready to connect to the local network. There's just one more thing you need to do, and that's turn on data roaming. That's in the eSIM cellular screen. And one thing to note is the time, if you bought a 7-day plan, that 7 days will start the minute you connect to the local network. So I'm going to now do a speed test. I turned off airplane mode and turned off Wi-Fi, and I'm going to check out the speed now. As you can see, the speed test is running very well. We did get some great speeds when we were in Japan, but I think this was probably one of the best. So cruisers, when you get back to the ship, put your phone back in airplane mode, as this is not an at-sea plan. There is one, and we can talk about that later, but for now, airplane mode. Now, one thing to remember is be vigilant about the data that you're using and watch it. You can watch it in the app. It will tell you exactly how much you used that day. So if you're burning hot, slow it down, or you can always top up. But make sure that you have only the stuff you need on. So another key step is when you're done with your cruise and you're back home, you're on the plane, you need to re-enable your primary cell phone back to the carrier that you started with. So once you're on your way home, it's important to turn off your eSIM, and that's done in cellular settings, eSIM, then turn on your primary character, and you should be good to connect to your local network once you're home.
Hello, everybody. I'm back. So this section is going to cover GigSky. We have wanted to try a cruise-only eSIM that would be of use at sea if we felt we could avoid having to pay the hefty charges that the ships are asking for Wi-Fi these days. And my last Holland video, the upsell's real. You think you have premium, and then you get on and no streaming sites or whatever. So anyway, this is an alternative that we wanted to try. I paid $35 for a 7-day pass that gave me a gig of data, and it was strictly for use at sea. One of the things with the eSIM on GigSky is you have to be at least 12 miles from shore. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about this. If you're in certain spaces in Europe or the Caribbean and you're not going to be that far away, there's probably times that is not going to work. So 12 miles is the rule. I just want to make a comment on like tech support. So we, as Doug has said, we activate the eSIMs while we're on a strong Wi-Fi. When you are on board and you go to turn it on, for us, we were in the middle of 7 sea days because we were going from Juneau to Japan, and we had a little bit of an issue. It would not come on.
During the activation process, the Wi-Fi had stopped just for 1 second, dropped, and then it didn't work. So we had to contact tech support via email.
Yeah.
And let's just say that you didn't have internet.
Or backup.
It'd be difficult to contact them via email. So
yeah.
So it did. They got back to us the next day and we got it working.
Yeah.
But just know that, and that was probably, I'm assuming it was because the Wi-Fi
there was a
dropped
little glitch in
while
the
we were in the
Wi-Fi
activation process.
Yeah.
So
it's just something to think about for a transatlantic or a trans-Pacific. If you're going to have many days at sea, if you're just got a day or two, it's not that big of a deal. So as far as how it performed, I thought it was just fine. Did it drop me every now and then? Yes. But if you look at where we were in the world, I was actually surprised it was working as well as it did. I was able to watch like YouTube videos. I was able to play my Words with Friends game with my mom. I like to just check in daily on that. So it was fine. I will comment that I felt like the data drained a little faster while you're on a cruise ship than the eSIMs in port, but that's just my experience. And I had kind of the same things on, maybe even less because we were on the ship. But one point to make here, if you wanted to disconnect.
If you're one of those cruisers that goes on a cruise to disconnect, but you still want to check in every now and again just to see how things are back home with family, I think this is a really good option.
Because you can just shut it off. You can turn it on, check your email, and then shut it back off, and only do that for those days at sea where you at port, you can hop onto a port Wi-Fi typically. So anyway, that was my experience and costs, and it's great that there are some options out there versus ship Wi-Fi. So
So on this trip, we did test out 3 different ones. Leah did Airalo, I did UBG, which is another eSIM provider for land. In both of those services worked flawlessly the whole time we were in Japan. We had great speeds. So there are a lot of options. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If so, please subscribe. And I'm also going to put up a QR code. So if you're sitting on the couch watching this on TV, you can just point your phone to the QR code and subscribe that way. We'd really appreciate it. It doesn't cost anything.
All right. Thank you for watching.